Hey everyone, welcome back again to Habs Tonight. We're going to retry this. Sorry to everybody. Hey, it happens.
Hey, we're living in a COVID world, buddy. That's what we're dealing with. So hats off to our team in the back and everybody that makes this show work from start. And now we get hit with a little bit of adversity and we're nailing it right now. So I'm proud of our team here.
Overcoming adversity, you got to like it. So for those of the ones that weren't tuned into our other one, that we just had some technical difficulties. So I'm going to go over the intro again because this Habs legend deserves it. And he was drafted 231st overall by the Montreal Canadiens in 1978. His NHL career, he scored 110 goals, 115 assists for 225 points, along with 3,043 penalty minutes in 688 games. He played for the Montreal Canadiens, New York Rangers, and Boston Bruins during his career. He holds records for highest penalty minute average per game at 4.42 per game, most penalty minutes in a single playoff season with 141 minutes, most penalty minutes in a single game, 42 minutes, most penalty minutes in Habs history at 2,248, one of 9 players in NHL history to pass 3,000 penalty minutes, selected for Team USA for the 1987 Canada Cup, selected as an All-Star in 1991, and most notably for us at Habs Tonight is Stanley Cup champion with the Montreal Canadiens in 1986. So everyone in the Habs Tonight community, we're all honored and very happy to welcome Chris Knuckles Nilan to the show.
Hey guys, Dale, thanks for having me. Brandon, good to be here. Good to be with you.
Hey, we're happy to have you, buddy. Everything's all good. We can hear everybody. We're all set?
Yep, all good. Now that cheap MacBook computer I have, it doesn't seem to, the microphone doesn't seem to work. So
hey, no worries. I have problems turning on my TV sometimes. I don't know. I don't know what happens. Technical stuff's not my best either, so no worries there. We're ecstatic to have you. When you hear that intro and you hear the stats, what stands out the most to you?
Well, sometimes I can't believe the 3,000 penalty minutes, but when I look back over the course of my career, and listen, there was a lot of fighting majors in there. There was also a lot of misconducts back in the day, game misconducts, when things get out of hand. But those were hard-earned minutes. I guess for me, there was nothing like scoring a goal for me. You know, a lot of people think, oh, getting in a fight and beating someone or getting the edge in a fight, kind of looking like you didn't lose, but you did okay. A lot of people, I think, sometimes they ask me how great that was, being able, and honestly, for me, and a lot of people might think I'm full of shit, but I'm not. That was easy for me. To fight was easy. It was second nature to me. Right. Scoring goals, there was nothing like scoring a goal or getting an assist on a goal where you got the primary assist. There's no better feeling in hockey for me, and certainly winning from the team aspect, no better feeling. But man, it was fun to score goals.
And you look at your stats, you were a disher too. You could pass the puck also.
Yeah, playmaking was my forte, right? I had 115 assists, 5 more points in the assist column than the goal column. But, you know, listen, I played with 2 Hall of Famers, Bob Gainey and Guy Carbonneau. They certainly helped me in my career. It was nice to play with 2 guys who helped me understand the game and what we had to do as a line, and God, it just helped my career big time playing with those guys. You know, we scored over 70 goals a year, 80 goals a year as a line, and we had a incredible knack for shutting down big lines, and we had a great combination. I'll tell you, Ken Linsman, the Rat. I played some old timer games when I was in Boston. We played the Heritage Classic in Edmonton, and Kenny always said to me, the best checking line ever. You guys had everything. You know, you could score, great face-off guy in Carbonneau, could be a good playmaker too, score goals. Gainey scored his goals, great checker. I could fight, I could hit, and I could defend and chip in offensively. So, yeah, coming from Linsman, that was really high praise, and I I really like hearing that from Kenny, the little rat bastard that he is.
So there's one thing too when you're playing with those teams. You mentioned Carbonneau, Gainey, but I know a few of us on our Habs night team, anyways, just wanted to get this out of the way kind of quickly. Is playing with Patty Roy coming in and winning the cup as a rookie. How was it watching him come into the league on a team like that?
It's incredible. You know, here's a kid who come in like just nothing fazed this kid. He was just like, whatever. I think that immaturity, that naiveness that he showed when he came in, the stage wasn't too big for him. He chewed it up. And, you know, I remember being on the ice one day, and he's a rookie, and I guess I didn't realize just how good he was. I knew how good he was. I mean, he played some unbelievable hockey for us. And I remember we had a practice, and as a rookie in Montreal, young guy, and I always stayed in the ice a long time. And Patrick had been playing some games, and we're out afterwards. And I might, you know, I'm in the league now 6 years, 7 years, and I want to shoot on a goalie after practice and have some fun. And he stayed out there a while, and then he said, I'm going to go now. And come on, stay in the net. And I put the heat on him a little. And then Bob Gainey, the captain, come over to me. And, well, I came over to Patrick. He said, hey, you want to get off the ice? Go right ahead. And Bob just came to me and he said, Knuckles, come on, the kid's standing on his head for us. You know, and I just looked at him like, you're a rookie. Stay out here and get in the work. But he didn't need it. He worked as much as he had to, and man, he stood in his head. I think back to some of those games in the playoffs. Man, in New York that one night, he had like freaking 70 saves. We won the game in overtime. Game 7 against Hartford, incredible performance by him. Did let in a goal with 1 minute left in the game from the blue line, and if I just think going into overtime there, and then Claude Lemieux ended up scoring about 3 minutes in, and I'm telling you, what a relief, because things could have gone the other way, and I never would have had the opportunity to lift up that Stanley Cup. And a lot of the, I guess the due goes to Patrick and Claude Lemieux. They were 1-2 in Conn Smythe that year, 2 rookies. It's unbelievable what they did.
Let's go back to the beginning of that year. What was your guys' feeling at the beginning of that year? Did you think you guys were contenders? What was the feeling in training camp and the start of the year?
Well, Sergeant made a move, right? And he traded for Bobby Smith, right? Up the middle, you know, we were playing that Adams division, and that was a freaking war every night, you know, Boston, Quebec, Buffalo, and little rinks too, mind you. But you know, a box of chocolates, Boston Garden, Buffalo. You know, those were teeny rinks. And there was some really, really crazy games back in that era. And getting that big center iceman, you know, we had Ryan Walter, Brian Skridlin, guys that were like strong up the middle, and we needed them. But the feeling at the beginning of the year, and again, every year in Montreal when I was there, the goal was Stanley Cup. And, you know, I get it now. It's difficult to make the playoffs in the National League now. But back then, the goal was Stanley Cup. And, you know, we figured we'd get our foot in the door there in the playoffs. We got to get out of our division, and then we'll deal with the conference final afterwards. And, you know, God, it was tough to get out of the division. And we always played Boston. And Dale, you know what it's like playing the Bruins. It's really intense, and the rivalry is crazy. And but we could count on them to fuck up. You know, they always did something stupid to shoot themselves in the foot in the name of bravado. I get it. You want to be a tough team, and it can take you a long way. But they'd always do something stupid that would cost them, and we took advantage of that quite a bit. And there were times I went through that line, and that year we beat them 3-0, best of 5 the first round. But, you know, I would go through the line every year we beat them, and I actually I kind of felt bad for a guy or two, in Middleton, even O'Reilly, because I was a big O'Reilly fan growing up. And, here's these guys, every year they get that close and we just slap them down again. And I loved it. But I did kind of feel bad for some of them guys.
Yeah. So growing up, obviously in Boston, you obviously grew up a Boston Bruins fans. Who was your guys growing up as a young kid that you idoled and tried to mimic yourself after?
Wow, Bobby Orr. I mean, every kid in Boston wanted to be Bobby Orr. I mean, Boston was a great sports town, right? You had the Celtics, you had the Patriots, you had the Red Sox. The Celtics were really good. The Bruins winning Stanley Cups. Patriots sucked, and the Red Sox. They'd play well and they'd never get there. They had the curse in the playoffs. So the Bruins winning in 70 and 72, they had Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito, Hodge, Johnny Busick, Jerry Chivas. But everybody wanted to be Bobby Orr in Boston, flying through the air, scoring that goal. I'll never forget it as a kid. We played street hockey. Every chance we got on the ice and played. And Bobby Orr. Was the man. He's the one everybody wanted to be, and with good reason.
Right.
So I was going to ask you, obviously, I know you've told the story before, but for some fans that aren't aware, so what was it like for you growing up in Boston, Massachusetts, being a Bruins fan, and then getting drafted by their biggest rival? So, how'd that go over?
Well, listen, I was just happy to be drafted. I was kind of shocked, actually, to be drafted. But I had a good friend of mine, Judge Paul King, who was my coach, who happened to be a good friend of Dickie Moore, of the Montreal Canadiens, and Doug Harvey. Doug was a scout at the time. Dickie was close to management. And the judge, I found out later that the judge asked Dickie Moore and Doug to do him a favor and just draft me with the last pick, whatever. Just draft him by the Canadiens, get him to go to training camp. And little did I know, the judge was an incredible guy in my life. He really helped me a lot in my life, a mentor in my life. At the time, yes, as a younger kid, not recognizing that as much. But he got them to draft me. And the judge said, listen, Dickie, just draft Chris Nilan and he'll do the rest. And I didn't realize just how much confidence the judge had in me as a player and as a person. And I did find out this at his wake by Dickie Moore. The only reason why I got drafted was because of Dickie and Doug. They didn't come to see me at Northeastern University and say, oh, we're going to pick this guy. It was a favor to Judge King by Dickie. And, the rest is history. I ended up making my way here and being a kid who played college hockey. No one expected me to be a fighter. And I remember my first year coming to camp, I didn't think I had a real shot, but I said, I'm going to try and, catch someone's eye here. And I ran around a little. I didn't fight anybody. And I ended up getting sent to Halifax. And the coach there was Bert Templeton. And Bert loved tough hockey players, did not like college kids, did not like Americans. Until our first game in Maine. We were playing the Mariners, Philly's farm team, and they had a tough team. And they kicked the living shit out of Nova Scotia Voyageurs the year before in the playoffs. So the Habs wanted to get their minor league team tougher. So anyway, I ended up, I had a couple fights in preseason with a guy, Bam Bam Belanger, and I kind of caught their eye. And then they gave me a 5-game tryout. I didn't have a contract. 5 games for $200 a game. $200 a game. And I ended up playing my first game, the 3rd game of the season, and it was in Maine. And the first shift I went out, started running around, playing physical, playing tough, and I ran Glenn Cochran. Well, I ran him. He slashed me. I turned around and chopped him. He dropped his glove. we ended up going, and I cut him open really good, bleeding like a pig, going nuts. He wants to kill me. And the next day, I wake up in the hotel. The coach called me, Bert. He said, "Hey, Knuckles." I said, "Wow, what's up?" He said, "Do you have an agent?" And I said, "No, I don't have an agent. Why would I have a freaking agent, you know?" He said, "Well, the Canadians called me this morning, and they want to sign you to a contract. They want to talk to your agent." So that one fight, they wanted to sign me, and it was all thanks to Glenn Cochran. So it's crazy how things worked out, but I signed, and I ended up playing 49 games down there. I had 15 goals, 10 assists. I had 25 points in 49 games, and I had 304 minutes of penalty. I was fighting every night. Once I fought Cochran, forget about it. Everybody in that league was like, "Who's this guy?" And I was fighting everybody, fighting every night. And little did I know, the Habs had somebody there watching me all the time. I didn't have a clue, but they had somebody scouting, watching, seeing what I was doing, and they got into injury trouble. They made a coaching change, and Claude Varel came in and took over as head coach, and I got called up the next day.
Wow. That is incredible to me to see you go from pick 200 and what'd you say it was 230th?
31.
231st. And then you play 1 year in the American League, and that was it. You're right in the NHL. Did you expect it to go that fast? Like when you're fighting everybody in the American League, obviously the coaches he's talking about you getting signed. Did you feel like you were ready to make the jump in the NHL, or what were you thinking at this point?
I didn't know. Here's the deal. I didn't know how much the National League, how different it would be from the American League, because I only watched NHL games. And I'm playing at the American Hockey League level, and I didn't know what the difference was. I guess I had to get there to find out. But I figured the fighting part, screw it. I was doing a pretty good job down there. I wasn't too much worried about that. Just making the adjustment to play at that level, and I guess I was ready. I didn't play. I didn't play too well my first game. I got called up. I went to Atlanta, and they had a pretty big team, but I was actually disappointed in my first game. I was nervous as all hell. I didn't fight. I got like 2 shifts a period, and I kind of forgot everything I did down there. I was like kind of awestruck, I guess. And then the next game was in Philadelphia. So that was the medicine I needed. I ended up getting my first fight with Bob Kelly, Hound Dog Kelly, and I assisted on the winning goal by PM Mondu. So I'm like, yes, I did something other than just fight, and it was a great feeling. We won the game, and I'm like, man, I can do this, I think. And I certainly had a lot of help to work on my game with Claude Varel. He was unbelievable as far as a guy to work and help develop the skills of players, and I was one of the guys who benefited from his kindness, his ability to be able to make learning the game, the fundamentals, working on the fundamentals. He made it fun, and it was a friggin' blast.
That's what's cool too, is because like we've named some of the players you've played with on the Montreal Canadiens, and some of them are just like Habs legends, including yourself. So like you're sitting in a dressing room with that much experience and talent. Like, what's it like being in the room with some of those guys?
First of all, I hated all of them, right? I grew up a Bruins fan. I didn't like them. I was a little bit awestruck, but Serge Savard took me under his wing. He was really good to me. Lafleur, all of them were just so awesome with me. It's funny. And I got drafted in 78, and I stayed in school. And the Bruins were playing the Canadians in the playoffs, 78, 79, going for the 4th Stanley Cup in a row. And I went to, I think it was game 4. We were at practice in Boston with a friend of mine, Franny Flaherty, from Boston. We grew up together, and we went to the practice. So Franny says to me, why don't you ask them if you can get tickets? We'll go to the next game in Montreal. So I went to Claude Worrell. He was standing there. I didn't know who he was at the time. I knew we were outside the locker room. And I said, hey, listen, I was drafted by you guys. You think I can get tickets to the next game up in Montreal? And he's looking at me, and he goes, oh, talk to that guy over there. And it was Howard Grunman. He was a traveling secretary. So I go up to him. I said, Mr. Grunman, my name's Chris Nilan. I said, you guys drafted me last year. And I said, I'd love to come up to a game in Montreal. Do you think I could get some tickets? He said, what's your name? I said, it's Chris Nilan. He said, how do you spell that? Nilan. He takes out the freaking guidebook. All right. He goes to the back page and he's looking and he goes, okay. Okay. Oh, yeah, you were drafted by us. Sure, I'll get you tickets next game. So we leave the building and we're going to go to the game that night. But we leave the building, we go outside. We watch a little more of the practice, hung around, and out front, we get in the car, we come out front, and there's Lafleur, Lemaire, and Lupien standing on the corner looking for a cab. So Franny says, why don't we pick them up? We'll give them a ride to the hotel. So I'm like, yeah, why not? So we pull up, right? We pull up in a T-Bird, 78 T-Bird. Look like a couple of gangsters, right? And they got Stanley Cup rings, and so Franny goes, hey, you want to ride? Yeah, sure. They jump in. The three of them get in the back. Lafleur lights up a ciggy right away. He's like, they got the rings on. So we're talking, and I said, I'm going to be up there next year with you guys. I'm looking back. I said, I'm going to be playing with you guys next year. And Lemaire goes, really? How are you going to do that? And I said, well, I was drafted by you guys last year in the 78 draft. He said, really? He said, where do you play? I said, Northeastern. He goes, you were drafted by us? What round? I said, the 17th. Well, the three of them start laughing their ass off. And I don't know. I'm just drafted. I don't give a, I could give a rat's ass. I got drafted. So they're laughing. We drive in the hotel. Boom. They play. Next game, we drive up to Montreal. I get there. I said, tickets for Chris Nilan at the booth. They come, they bring the tickets. That'll be $275. Son of a bitch. They charge me for the goddamn tickets.
No way.
Yeah, that's that 17th round pick, baby, right there. Not a first rounder. I ended up paying for the tickets. And then I couldn't believe it. But money I didn't have, by the way. And the rest, again, like I say, it was history. But, it's funny. I came to camp the next year. And I'm in camp, and I'm in the locker room getting ready, and Lafleur is looking at me. He's looking at me, and he goes, hey, Tabarnak, it's you, the kid from Boston. I said, I told you I was going to be here. I told you I'd be here. Sure enough, the next game, we're out, and I'm on the ice, and Jalupian's staring at me. He's looking at me. I'm going to have to fight him now. And he's looking at me, he goes, Tabarnak, it's you, the kid from Boston. You give us a ride. I said, yeah, I told you I was going to be here. Sure enough, Lemaire left that year, my first year. He went over to Switzerland, and he came back after their season, and we were still playing. We go to lunch together, and he's sitting there with Larry Robinson. He's going to Larry, who's that kid, the kid Nilan who's doing all the fighting? Larry goes, you're right here, meet him. So I stick out my hand, hey, Jacques, how are you? He goes, Tabarnak, it's you, the kid from Boston. I said, I told you I was going to be here. The three of them. I tell you, it was so funny. And Lemaire never, ever forgot that. And when he coached me, he was unbelievable with me. He put me on the power play. He worked with me. He did shit with me that nobody did to help improve my game. Gave me confidence, told me, you fight too much, slow down. You don't have to fight as much as you do. Instead of using me, like some guys get used. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible how good he was to me. And he gave me an opportunity as an assistant coach in the NHL. And it all goes back to the time in the car. I said, I'm going to be up there playing with you next year, you cocky bastard, right? Oh, it's funny.
Was he your favorite coach?
Yeah, without a doubt. I love Claude Worrell, but bench coach, he was a little nervous, He never wanted to be a head coach, but he was an unbelievable assistant and a development coach. You know, the fundamentals, skating, passing, shooting, all that stuff. And then Lemire, he refined it with me, you know. He would take me and he'd tell me why he's doing the drill. He put me in front of the net. He said 50 pucks, forehand, backhand, up top. And the reason why you got to do that, because this is where we're going to score your goals. And when you get the puck, and when you get rebounds, you're going to have to be throwing them up over the goalie. So work on that. He would work on it with me every day. He'd bring me in the circle, and he'd stand on the edge and pass the puck to certain places. And it was all foot stuff, you know, reacting to where the puck went, passing it to him, catching it on my backhand, forehand. He did so many drills with me day in and day out. Like I was like his little pet rock. He wanted to turn me into a better player, and he really, like a lot of organizations. I tell you, I feel indebted to the Canadians. I always have, because some people have been happy with the guy just to go fight. Well, go fight, just shut up and do your job. Mm-hmm. But man, they helped me become a player. They helped me become a better player. They didn't want me to just be a fighter. They wanted to be able to play me and not just sit me on the bench and tap me on the shoulder and go, which to me, that's the ultimate sign of respect when I got that from this organization. And yeah, it was awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, much like myself, you know, when I played in Montreal, that was it for me. Obviously, that was the highlight of my career. The team believed in me, the management believed in me, and I just felt at home there. How was it for you when you had to leave? Obviously, I've heard the story, but tell me, how was it when you went to play for other teams, and you know, just not putting on that Canadiens jersey? What was that like for you?
It wasn't fun. Here's the deal. You know, I always said to myself that I would never let a coach tell me to go fight. If a coach ever told me to go fight, or even made the inference, I'm going to tell him where he can go and what he can do. And it never happened to me. Even Bert Templeton in the American Hockey League, a guy who, for all intents and purposes, they call Bert a goon coach, and which is another word I don't like. But
yeah,
Lemire told me I fought too much. Slow down, you can play, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't trust him so much, because I always thought, like, when I saw the Boston Bruins, when guys stopped fighting, when they stopped doing that, they got close to the door. Oh, they don't want to fight no more. They don't want to do the dirty work. But Lemire would take me out of situations. You know, we're in Montreal, I'd be on the ice, and they put someone out in the other team. He'd take me off the ice. And I didn't want to come off, but he would. And it was a sign of respect. He said, like, I don't want Chris to fight here. And he was awesome. And that I loved. Now, when I was with Perron and we were going through a tough time, and we're in Hartford, and he didn't have the respect of the guys, bottom line. And he was going around the room ripping on guys. And he got to me and he said, and Chris Nilan, when's the last time you had to fight? And I said, you know what? Screw you. I said, what do you know about fucking fighting? You never fight in your life. You don't know. You telling me to fight? Go yourself. Anyway, he didn't like it, and I get it. And he went to Surge, and I ended up getting traded, and it almost broke me. I'll never forget it. I went to, you know, and the only reason why it didn't is because I stayed true to myself. I was always there for my teammates. I always stuck up for them. But I always said to myself, I'm sticking up for myself if I ever get in that situation where a coach makes that inference to me that I should go fight. And I did. And it's the only way I got through it. But I remember when I got traded, man, I was devastated. And I remember waking up in New York in the hotel room, and fuck, I couldn't believe I was there, and I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm gone. And it really, I was heartbroken. Listen, I was never the same. And I say that I still stuck up for my teammates. I still did my job right up to the end. I fought right to the end in Boston. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was not, I never wanted to play for another hockey team after I played for the Canadians. I just didn't. And like I said, it almost broke me. I didn't let it, but I got through it. Serge brought me back for the curtain call at the end. You know, I could have not begged, but could have sniffed around for another job. But, you know, I was just happy. I was 34 years old. I came back to the Canadians. I was hoping to play one more year. Jacques Demers, the coach at the time, wanted Rob Ramage. And Serge said he couldn't have too old a guy. I was fine. Enough was enough, and I moved on. But, yeah, I was devastated. Never the same.
Knuckles, can I ask you then, since like growing up in Boston, you said you were a Bruins fan and everything. Was it bittersweet throwing that Boston Bruins jersey on for the first time? Like, or did you grow to hate them so much being a Montreal Canadian that, like, what was your take putting on that Boston Bruins jersey the first time?
Yeah, it was something I always wanted to do, right? I always wanted to be a Bruin growing up as a kid. I loved the Bruins. And through all the shit that happens over the course of my career when I'm in Montreal, and that bitterness, the rivalry, you know, the whole place yelling Nilan sucks, my parents going through all that, my family. And my dad didn't want me to come back there. He didn't, you know, I kind of made that trade happen when I was in New York, but my dad's like, don't come back here. I don't want you to come, screw them, you know. And I'm like, Dad, you know, I just want to be a Bruin. I'm gonna, and I did. I ended up coming back, and it was cool. I remember the first night, I was nervous in the locker room, and Ray Bork was saying to me, will you relax for it? And I just said, what are you so nervous? I said, I don't know. I just wonder if I'm going to be accepted, having, you know, after what has happened here over the years and the way I was treated, you know. And he said, come on, you're from here. They're going to, and they did. The fans gave me an incredible ovation when I came back. It felt great. And, you know, it was pretty much all downhill after that.
How was
most of my time there? No, I had fun there with the guys. I enjoyed it. They were a good bunch of guys and a good team. But, you know, I was older. You know, I was beat up. I got beat up in New York, broke my arm a couple of times. I hurt my knee. I had that hockey hernia. Man, it's like I stepped on an IED. And then I got there, and I got named the All-Star game. Milbury named me the All-Star team, along with Brian Screwlin. And he had the balls to do it because he said, here's the deal. These guys, I get to pick who's on my team. I'm the coach, he said. And these guys have been really good team guys. They work their ass off. They'd sacrifice for the team all the time. I'm going to recognize them, which I thought was cool. But Mike kind of did it for himself too. And he, you know, he knew it was going to bring on the attention to him, and he was going to have to answer questions. I give him a lot of credit for doing it because he really didn't have to, right? He took a lot of heat for that. And I told him, I was skating around practice. I said, don't name me an all-star. I was telling him, don't do it. You're out of your mind. I said, I'm not a freaking all-star. He said, you are too. You are an all-star. In my eye, you are, and I'm going to now. I said, don't do it. He went and did it. Anyway, wouldn't you know, they put the parquet down one day after practice. Well, after we were there, we were getting punished by Milbury one day because we weren't playing well, and he made us give us the old 9 to 5 thing. We had to be in there at 9 in the morning, watch the tape, went through everything. Then he said, okay, you can go to lunch now. You got an hour for lunch. Then you can come back. We're going to watch the rest of the tape, blah, blah, blah. So we're going to lunch, and they had put the floor down for the Celtics, and some of the guys were out there playing. And so I get out there, we're playing hoop. I go up to block a shot, and I come down. I stepped on the trainer's ankle, Donnie Warden, the poor bastard. He was so worried he was going to get fired. And I rolled my ankle, and it blew up like you wouldn't believe. So they had me in the ice cast, the boot, everything. And I'm on the table. I'm in tears crying. They did an x-ray, everything. Oh, it's just a sprain, just a sprain. I walked. They started doing therapy with me. They're moving it, and this is 2.5 weeks, and I'm there. There's no way I'm going to go to this All-Star game. No way. I can't even. I skated 3 times. They finally did an MRI, and I broke my talus bone. Your talus bone is the bone in between your 2 ankle bones that allows your ankle to go like that.
Right.
I snapped it in half, and I was walking around for 3 weeks like that. And it was insane how much pain I was in. And anyway, I ended up having surgery. They had to screw it back together, and I missed the All-Star game. Sucked.
Wow.
I planned on winning the car,
Yeah, for sure. Oh, man. That's great.
Yeah, like nuts.
What are the chances, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Knuckles, I literally could talk to you for hours, and I don't want to keep you all day. I want to get some fans on.
Whatever you guys need, I'm here.
If anybody wants to jump on and ask some questions for Knuckles here, feel free to get after us, or if we have some in the chat, we can just throw up and Knuckles can read them off there. I want to let the fans have their crack at you if they want to ask some questions. I've seen a couple on the side there. Yeah. So if anybody wants to fire up a couple there.
I see one right here, not because I don't want to put you on the spot here, but there's Gianni Biagioni said we need a playoff story. Any funny playoff stories or crazy ones you can think of?
Yeah, playoff story. I guess just not one year. The Brawl against Philadelphia was crazy. I remember, those guys were shooting the puck into the net, Corson and Claude Lemieux, and I didn't even pay attention to that shit. Honestly, I had too much on my mind thinking who I could fight here. Brown, Chikrin, Berube, Kochner. They had a crowd, and I'm like, I got more stuff to worry about than being superstitious. So. Anyway, they're out there doing their thing, and I wasn't even paying attention. And I'm in the room, and I got my skates off, and I just get them undone, and all of a sudden the usher comes running in. Tabernacle, there's something. They're going fighting. They have to close. And anyway, I'm out there, and who do I end up with? Dave Brown with no jersey, and we fought for like 15 minutes. And we've talked about it since, and I love Brownie. I've met him a few times since. He's just a wonderful guy. And the other one was Darryl Stanley, too. I never realized how big he was. He had monster hands, everything. And I had a bunch of fights with him. But the Dave Brown fight in the playoffs there, I remember we went at it. We go again. We take a rest a little bit. And I remember probably about 10 minutes in, we had went, and then we both fell, both got up, and we're kind of standing there for a little bit. And I don't trust him for nothing, and he don't trust me for nothing, and you shouldn't. But he whispers in my ear. He leans on, he goes, "Have you had enough?" And I go, "No." And boom, I do another punch. And away we went again, and it was just, that was like crazy time, that Philly game. I had to play the game. Dave Brown didn't play one shift. I was done after the first period. I was done.
So there's another one that this fans wants to know. Did LaFleur smoke more than anyone back in the day? Heard he smoked like crazy.
No, he smoked, but I smoked between periods. It's not I'm proud of, but I smoked, and I would come in and friggin', people say, "How can you smoke between periods?" I said, "Well, you go out there and have to fight like 4 or 5 guys. There's 4 potential guys, 5 on the other team. You can fight. It relaxes me. I'm gonna have a cigarette. I'm gonna have a Coke, and I'm gonna get ready for the next one. That's it." But Flower smoked. A few guys smoked. That's what it was back then.
Yeah, I had a just quick one for me, Knuckles. Who do you say would be the toughest guy in your opinion that you fought?
Just a question I normally don't answer, because every guy who did that job when I played, man, I take my hat off to him. It's so difficult.
Right.
That job, and every one of them was tough. I never classed them, like, oh, this guy's tougher, this guy and this. I always treated them all the same. Right. Now, did I have to fight certain guys different? For sure. But, Christ, O'Reilly was tough. Dave Brown was tough. Got all of the Stan Jonathan. There was so many like Cockner, Berube. There were a lot of tough guys. I fought Chikrin. Then I remember the Grim Reaper when he was in Chicago, and then Big Jim McKenzie when they were coming in. And, I was at the point that, when I come in the league, it was like I'm going after all these guys with names, and then now all of a sudden I'm their age, 33, and everybody wants to try it. And that gets really difficult. I kept doing it, but it got hard on me.
Wears on you. What do we got on the bottom here? Dan, after your misconducts, how many exit lights did you actually break, and did you have to pay for them, or did the team pay?
I broke 3 exit lights at the Forum, and they never made me pay. They never even said anything to me, which was awesome. They let me take my frustrations out. But I broke one in Hartford. I got kicked out of a game, and I was going off, and I smashed it with my stick because it was way up. I couldn't punch it. It was too hot. So I smashed it. They sent the Canadians a bill for the exit sign, and they alerted me to the fact that they sent the bill, but they said, we'll pay it. Don't worry about it, which was pretty cool. But probably about 4 or 5 exit sign.
That's awesome.
It was fun.
We do have one call-in guest right now. He's a friend of the show, Justin. I'd like to welcome him onto the show, and I think he wants to ask a question for Knuckles.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Justin. Hey,
Knuckles.
How are you, bud?
Oh, I'm doing great. This has been awesome. Dale, glad to see you. Brando, great to see you guys also. I have a really good question here. Can you talk a little bit about the events of April 20th, 1984?
Well, you're going to have to refresh my memory.
Yeah, fill them in.
Good Friday.
Yeah, man, craziness. It's funny. Bruce Hood, God rest his soul, the referee. He blamed, in his book, he blamed that all on me. And, I say, stick it up your ass, Bruce, because Dale Hunter, he was a real prick to play against. And, it was near the end of the period there, and Cobb knows my sentiment, and I always told Guy, do what you want out there. Fucking spear people, yap at people, do whatever you want. And in talking about Guy, he never took advantage of that. Guy wasn't a guy like, go try Nilan. He was really good about it. But I always told him, you got the green light, do what you want. I don't care. I'll be there for you. And Hunter had him down. He punching him in the head, and he's driving his, grinding his head into the ice. And I seen it. I wanted to get to him. And then Mola grabbed me, and I'm like, let go of me. And I can't. And I said, screw you. And I cracked him. And then, boom. And then it started. So he blamed it on me for starting it when Hunter really started. I might have thrown the first punch, but Hunter started the whole thing with Carbonell. And, man, it got out of hand pretty quick. We got taken off the ice there. Certain guys got kicked out of the game. And we went in the locker room, and we come back out. No one ever told us we were out of the game. Bruce Hood never come over and told, hey, you're out of the game, Nilan. You're out of the game, Mola, this one, that. So now we're back on the ice. Everybody's out there again. And Randy Mola was skating around. He's yapping, saying, let's go. We'll go again. And then Mark Hunter was trying to get after Louis Schlager because he's the one who suckered Jean Hamel. And before that happened, they ended up grabbing me, Moeller, and somebody else, and the guys got kicked out, and they got us off the ice. And as soon as we get off the ice, Mark Hunter ended up going after Schlager, and then it just all took off again. It was crazy. Very unfortunate. when you're in that situation. I've been in a lot of them brawls, especially in the American League, and a few in the NHL. They're dangerous. There's no question about it. And what happened to Jean and Mel, and the worst part, Louis Schlager and him were roommates when they were in Quebec. And Jean was looking the other way, and he just threw that punch. And, Jean and Mel, I've never seen him since that night. I've never seen him at an alumni event. And he is one of the nicest guys I ever met in the game. And it's sad because I'd love to see that guy again and talk to him. But that's what I remember about that night, the worst part about it, what happened to Jean and Mel.
Another thing I want to mention, it's for fans actually. There's that documentary that features you, Knuckles. There, The Last Gladiators.
Yeah.
I watched that. I watched that 2 years back, and it was awesome for anybody who's looking. It's a great documentary.
Yeah. It's funny. I did that one. I had a drug and alcohol problem, and I ended up addressing that. But when I get out of treatment, at that time, someone got in touch with me about doing that, and I ended up doing it. I had time in my hands. I thought it sounded interesting. I liked the people who were involved in it, the producer and director. I ended up meeting with them, and it's funny, after we did it, they said they wish they just focused on my life instead of, because they talked to a lot of guys about doing it, and everybody wanted to get paid, right? And I just did it because, I had nothing to do at the time. And I said I thought it'd be interesting. And they felt afterwards, they wish they focused a little more on my story and how it got like it got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, they did a good job on it. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you really quickly here is the 86 team. There was a lot of veterans on that roster, a lot of rookies, I think 10 rookies to be exact.
Yeah.
Now we're talking a lot about the Habs right now they're kind of between two windows right now, between youth and a little bit of the veteran players on the team. How did you guys, I guess, figure all that out? Because I know that in 86, nobody was really expecting the Habs that year to do very much. I mean, I was only 2 years old at the time, but I mean, realistically, I mean, you look at the Oilers of that time. The Oilers, you had Gretzky and Messier, all those guys. So I mean, everybody was putting their money down on Edmonton. Calgary was also phenomenal, which we all know what happened in '86. So, but how should I say? How did the team get how should I say, get along so well with those types of age groups? Because I know the Habs right now, they have that group with Weber, Price, and now they have the young guys come in. How do you bring that all together and make it work?
Well, it really it says a lot about Bob Gainey and Larry Robinson. The coach that year, John Perron, honestly, not a whole lot of respect for him. He wasn't a smart hockey man. He was actually dumb as a stump. And we called him Puddinhead. That was his nickname. And guys really felt that way. Guys didn't have a whole lot of respect, but we dealt with them and we listened to him. And there was some nights he'd come in the room and he'd leave, and guys would be going, "What?" They look at each other, scratching their head, like, "Are you shitting me?" And Bob Gainey and Larry really kept that whole thing together, which was incredible. And their leadership and I guess when you have those young guys on the ice and that mix of middle of the road guys and those aging veterans, when you play speaks for it on the ice, you don't worry about all the other shit, and we struggled that year down the stretch. We had some problems losing some games, but boy, I remember Big Surge came in before the playoffs, and Ronald Corey, the president at the time, and they did an unbelievable speech to us, both of them, that to me, it had an effect on me, and I know it had an effect on all the other guys. And boy, off we went to Boston. We slapped them silly 3 straight games, went to game 7 against Hartford, and then 4-1 New York and 4-1 Calgary. So Yeah, we had a really good team, strong up the middle, big defensemen, talented, great goaltending. The rookies came through big time. Patrick and Claude Lemieux. You know, it was an awesome team. And you know, when you're part of a team like that, you're bound together forever for life. You know, and it's pretty cool when you see those guys. You know what you went through. You know what it took to get there, and it's awesome to have been part of a Stanley Cup. You know, it was awesome.
It's amazing. And I got to get going, guys. My son's crying upstairs, but Knuckles, thank you so much. I appreciate all the answers there. Go Habs, go, and you're doing a great job.
Thanks, Justin.
Just quickly, Justin, that year, a lot of people say, oh, if Edmonton was there, the Canadians would have never won. Here's the deal. Fucking Edmonton didn't belong there because they didn't win.
Exactly.
I like that.
Yes,
Exactly.
I love that. I love that.
All right.
They
Well,
couldn't
thanks
get by
again, guys.
Calgary.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
You too, buddy.
All right. I see we have one more caller here in our studio.
Perfect.
Can bring him on. Everybody welcome Adrian to the show. Adrian, how's it going?
Hey guys, Brandon and Dale, nice to see you again.
Adrian, what's up, buddy?
Not much. How you doing?
Good.
Chris, Knuckles, Nilan, nice to meet you.
Yo, Adrian, how are you? Yo, Adrian.
I'm good. I was just gonna say it's an honor to meet you. My dad's been a lifelong Habs fan growing up, and he'd tell me so many stories of seeing you on the TV all the time, and it's cool, finally meet you. It's pretty cool. I was gonna ask you a quick question, Knuckles.
Go right ahead.
I know Justin before was talking about the Good Friday game, right? The whole Donnybrook there. I wanted to ask you quickly, how was it like being kind of in the middle of the Habs and Nordiques rivalry? That Battle of Quebec rivalry was pretty intense back then. I think it was more. I think it was worse than the Boston Montreal and Toronto Montreal back then. How was it like stepping on the ice against the Nordiques every game? Because I know you guys weren't very fond of each other, to say the least.
Like I said, that whole Adams division was crazy. Now, I hear, they talk about Toronto-Montreal rivalry. When I was playing, I didn't consider that a rivalry. I don't think my teammates did either, because we never saw them in the playoffs. We played them during the regular season, and they sucked. I mean, they really sucked, the Leafs did.
Yeah,
I'm not just
they
saying
were a
that.
joke back then.
They were brutal. Now, back in the 50s and stuff, the different story, because original six, there was somewhat of a rivalry there. But the Bruins Canadians rivalry goes well beyond that in years. And the same with the Nordiques. The thing with the Nordiques is that it was so emotional. This province, the people are so emotional. It had Molson Brewery against O'Keefe Brewery. It had big city Montreal against little Quebec City. It had the more French city, the bilingual city. It had the Journal de Montreal, Journal de Quebec. It had all the ingredients of just a great stew. And man, the coaches, Lemaire and Michel Bergeron, they hated each other. Bergeron hated Lemaire. Lemaire hated Bergeron. And it was just incredible. Like, it's funny. Bergie used to talk a lot. He'd yap at players. He never said a word to me. I would skate by in the warm-up, and he'd look at me and he'd wink. I think he was trying to put me to sleep, which never happened. But he would always get Mario Tremblay crazy. He'd yell shit at him in French, and it was funny. And then I ended up playing for him in New York, and I absolutely loved him as a coach. We had a lot of fun, but yeah, some good times. Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think he knew better not to mess around with you back then. I think that's why he just gave you a wink there and nothing else.
Was good. But it was a hell of a rivalry. I kind of wish, honestly, I wish Quebec get a team. I just don't know financially. They can't. I think the league is worried about them coming back in like Atlanta did and then losing the team again. They can't afford to do that again. But I would love to see the people get a team. I know
Yeah, me
Mr.
too.
Molson doesn't want it.
No, it shouldn't.
Oh, definitely not. No, that's cool. Yeah, well, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, like I said again,
I'm
my
looking
dad.
behind you there, Adrian.
Yeah,
Adrian, you're
Yes.
a little mixed up there. You got the goddamn American flag, the Canadian flag, the Italian flag.
Well,
And what's that? The Chinese flag too? You got the Chinese flag back there?
no,
What
it's
is it?
the Raptors.
The UN?
The
Oh,
Raptors. my
love
dad's was born in Brooklyn. That's why I got the American flag there. So we got some dual
Cool.
citizenship in the family, and obviously we're all born here. My mom,
Cool.
my brother, and I. So Italian too. So yeah,
Where you living? Where you live? Where you from?
Brampton, Toronto,
Okay,
Toronto
cool.
suburb. Yeah, I'm down
Cool.
there. So
I know where it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool. Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Adrian. Appreciate you asking
thanks
some
again,
questions here.
guys.
Thanks
Take
as
care,
always,
guys.
Adrian. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya.
Well, that was awesome. I love the fan questions, but I think we can kind of slowly wrap it up here. We've had Knuckles here for an hour, so Dale, I'm curious if you got any more questions for Knuckles here.
Whatever you guys want. I'm good.
If I had to finish with one, Knuckles, I want to get your take on where you think the game is going. From your era to where we are now. Do you like the new NHL? Do you like this style? Do you like that it's less physical? I want to get your opinion on that. That's my last one for you tonight.
Now, I always, as a player, hated to hear and said to myself, when I get that age, I don't want to be one of them guys, back when I played. And I think I've been pretty good at that. I respect what the players are doing today, given all the circumstances. It's not easy, the games. I understand with 32 teams and trying to get in the playoffs and salary cap and all that. They owned us. The owners, it's one thing today. I like the fact that the players have a little more freedom of movement at a certain age. We never had that. We were like, and the good part about that, Dale, what I liked and what I don't like today as much is you don't stay together as a group as long as we did. We had an unbelievable close group of guys. And if you're playing well, you're not going anywhere. You're showing up all the time. And now I think, and I love the fact that guys are making money. I love the fact that you got to go and make some decent money and be able to provide for your family down the road. Mm-hmm. What I don't like is guys, and I didn't like it when I played, sign big contracts and they put their feet up. Mm-hmm. I didn't like that. I find, the fight, honestly, I could care less if I saw another hockey brawl. I really could. Or even a fight. Does it do a whole lot for me? I hate seeing guys get hurt in a fight. I hate seeing guys get knocked out. I saw that kid get knocked out the other night with a body check and try and get up and go wobbly. I remember Paros, when he hit his face in the ice in Montreal. You were there. Yeah, I mean, I could care less if I ever saw that again. And but I like the fact that it'll stay in there for the times when maybe someone's up your ass and they're jabbing you, and sooner or later you had enough. I'm gonna fight you. That's it. It's over. I don't mind that. The days of the guy coming off the bench not playing and going out and beating someone up. No, I never ever wanted to see that again, and I'm kind of glad. I think it's going to be, certainly it's going to get less and less. I would like, and I know this is controversial, but Bobby Orr, someone who I admire a whole lot, he said, I would really like to see the red line back in. They talk about the safety of the game, and they're worried about players and concussions. Well, the fighting isn't the problem with the concussions. It's the cheap shots and the hits that these guys, I can't imagine back in my day, if I was able to wind up and get that speed, no one could get in my way and I could go in and crank someone. Mm-hmm. And like, you wonder why guys are getting hurt and they're having some of the injuries again. And I like what Bobby Orr said. I'd like to see the red line back in, because I want to see guys come up the ice together and pass their way up the ice. And you know that stretch pass, I mean, that gets old. And there's nothing like seeing a center iceman come back, a wingers come back, you move the puck and come up the ice together. Mm-hmm. I can go for that. The league doesn't want to do it because they're going to sacrifice some speed. And I really, truly wonder if they could give a rat's ass about the health of the players. Because if they really did, they do something about it. But they don't want to compromise that speed at all. That makes it exciting, makes it violent, because the violent part of it does sell. The physical part of it does sell. People love that part of the game. And, you know, I tend to agree with Bobby Orr when it comes to that. Put the red line back in. But I know they worry about the trap. Fucking teams still trap anyway. Every team in the NHL traps. Exactly. You know, I don't care who you are. Mm-hmm. Some of the better teams, they push the pace a little more because they have the gunners to do it. But the teams who try and win games and want to compete against some of them teams, they have to slow it down. They have to clog the middle to have a chance to win.
So we threw up a poll today on our YouTube channel, kind of asking fans what era had it. I don't mean to make it sound bad, but it was what era had the better fighting? Was it the pre-lockout 04 or was it post-lockout? Because beforehand, it was just dedicated enforcers like you guys were, right? And then now you almost have these guys training MMA in the summertime, getting ready for NHL season and boxing classes and stuff like that. So I'm curious about your thoughts on what NHL era. I don't know if better fighters is the word, or do you know what I'm kind of getting at here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to really say what's the better era because, you know, then of course I'm going to want to be partial to my era. I think some of the guys maybe in the 90s and that, you know, 2000s, what you're talking about, I'll be honest with you, performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, stuff like that. I know certain guys that I fought against that were on steroids. Like, steroids make you crazy. Steroids make you mean. They get you nutty. And some guys maybe needed that to do the job. I didn't. And quite honestly, I just think, man, some of them guys in that era, they got so freaking big. And, you know, they couldn't play, some of them. In my era, there were guys that couldn't play either. And I don't throw them guys under the bus. They found their way to the NHL. They did. And they would have loved to probably play more, but they never got that opportunity. And that's why I feel so grateful for having been a Montreal Canadian. And now listen, I might have been talented, a little more talented than some of those guys. And there was some of them that were more talented than me. But I had the luxury of having a great organization, the best organization, and coaches that helped me become that's to me the most thing I'm proud of my career, that I became an everyday NHL player, that I didn't sit in the bench. And I couldn't have done that. I couldn't have sat on the bench, go ahead, go fight. I couldn't have. You know, I don't have a problem fighting, but I'm not going to sit there and watch all game and not get that opportunity to play. And they gave me that opportunity, and they helped me achieve that goal. That's the thing I'm most proud of. Everyday NHL player.
Yeah, and you had a tremendous career, Knuckle. And, you know, with that, I just want to say thank you. An absolute honor to have you to stay here for an hour and answer our questions, answer the fans' questions. You know, you're one of the toughest son of a bitches to ever do it, and I have so much respect for you, and I really appreciate you know, everything you did for me when I first got to Montreal. You reached out and you had so many good things to say about me, and that, you know, I didn't take that lightly. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everything you did, and all the best going forward here.
Well, I appreciate it, and you know, kudos to you too. And I certainly love what you did here as a player. You thrived in this environment. I wasn't happy when you left for you, because I know what it's like. I mean, you were in Vancouver before you got here, but when you get a taste of playing here, and the fans loved you, and you certainly you played hard for this organization, and that's That's all they wanted every night, and you did it. And then you scored big goals, and you scored overtime goals, and you stuck up for your teammates, and that goes a long way in a city like this. So it was kind of a bummer to see you leaving at the time you left because, although I understand, and it's good you had to take care of your family, and you had to do it for those reasons. And I guess I only wish maybe I had that opportunity back when I played to be able to go off and, and make a really good paycheck somewhere else so you can set your family up for when it's all over. So good for you in accomplishing that. And you had a great career yourself. And I'm glad to see you doing well now. And Brandon, it was great to meet you, pal. And you made it, certainly made this easy for me. And the guests, some of the comments I'm reading, it's awesome. And I just want to let everybody know that I appreciate your kindness and some of the things you said. Really cool.
Thank you so much.
You're the best, Knuckles. Thank you very much.
All right, guys.
Appreciate it.
Be well.
Take
Anytime.
care.
Anytime.
Wow, that was incredible.
Man, I mean, there's so many other things that we could have went into with him. We're gonna have to bring him back. He's just so easy to talk to, and his stories are great. You just want him to keep going. Those stories about, like LaFleur smoking and stuff, it's just so foreign to us nowadays. But man, he's got some great stories. That was awesome. What a great guy.
I feel like it's like one of those times where like you always hear the stories where somebody gets going and then you just listen and you don't want them to stop and you don't realize how much like time's going by, but you just wish time could stop so you could just keep listening to, like, I guarantee you he's got thousands of stories and they're all incredible. It's just, I don't know. That's top show for me, I think.
Oh, that was awesome. We got to bring him on for round 2. And so I want to tee up the rest of the week. What do we got going tomorrow? Do you want to fill everybody in?
So tomorrow we got Friday.
Sorry, I got
Friday. We got cans.
Guys.
All good. So crushing cans with Derek and myself will be going Friday night. We're gonna have Deeks on as the guest because I think Deeks celebrating a birthday, so I think we deserve a can with Deeks on Friday night.
Absolutely. I'm excited for Cans. Cans to me is one of those fun shows. If you guys haven't watched yet, it's just a great show. Most of the times it has been Fridays and Saturdays mostly. And it's a great time to have a can. Listen to some all sports talk, couple good laughs. Deeks is great. And it's just a great show. It's a great time to have some fun. And it doesn't have to be an alcoholic beverage. It can be water or a bubbly or whatever you prefer. So I'm 100%. Excited for Cans. And again, guys, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Make sure you get all the updates. We have tons of content that comes out. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Having a little bit of a word flap there. We went for an hour and 10 minutes. So, Brando, I think you can take us home. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Awesome. And like Dale said, just subscribe to the channel because we've got several other shows other than just Weisy Wednesday. You got pre-game, post-games. I know this week with the Habs out west, we're doing a lot of pre-game shows live. There's one happening either right now or very shortly, so we're going to try to get out of here for them. Absolutely. And then also we have Autour de la Ligue with Nick and Shane. That's the French show for any of the Francais fans. They're great together. Just subscribe and you'll see it all. You won't miss out. I guarantee you that.
Awesome, guys. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. As always, we really appreciate it. Be sure also to like our videos and comment. We love the feedback. So look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. We'll be releasing who we have next week coming very quickly. So watch out for that in the next couple of days. Be sure to tune into the pregame show that should be happening in a couple minutes here, I would assume. So have a good night, guys, and thank you for tuning in.
Have a good night. Thank you, everyone.